Hey, sweetheart, how are you holding up? It's crazy over here. It's a crazy world, but we just have to survive. You know what I mean? Those words played on her phone at 2:15 in the morning. A man's face, tired, unshaven, handsome, stared back at her through a grainy video message. Behind him, what looked like military barracks. The faint sound of distant machinery. Linda played that video 17 times before she finally fell asleep. She believed every word. She believed he loved her. She believed he was coming home. What Linda didn't know was that the man in that video had never heard her name, had never sent her a single message, had never even known she existed. His face had been stolen, his identity hijacked, his life used as bait. And somewhere across the world, in a cramped room lit by the blue glow of multiple computer screens, someone was counting the money she'd sent. This is a story of how a 53-year-old caregiver from the Gulf Coast lost her savings, her trust, and nearly her hope, all to a man who was never real. And if you think this couldn't happen to you, you might want to keep watching. Linda had spent her entire adult life taking care of other people, not because she was asked to, not because she was paid well, but because that's who she was. That's who she had always been. By the time she turned 53, she had already buried one partner, ended a 9-year relationship with another, and raised 3 children largely on her own. Her oldest daughter, now 30, had moved out years ago. Her son, 25, was building his own life, and her youngest, just 18, was starting to spread her wings. But Linda wasn't done caring for others. For the past 8 years, she had worked as a home health aide, first for an elderly woman she grew to love like family, and then for 2 disabled brothers who needed around-the-clock support. She cooked for them, bathed them, made sure their medications were taken on time, sat with them through long, quiet nights when the world outside went dark. $700 a week. That was her life, condensed into a number. $700 to cover rent, groceries, gas, utilities, and whatever unexpected emergencies life threw at her. There was no savings account, no retirement fund growing in the background, no safety net, just Linda, her work, and the quiet hope that someday, things might get a little easier. She had never been married, not because she didn't want to be. Life just kept happening. Her first long-term relationship lasted 11 years. They had 2 children together, and then he got sick, slowly at first, then faster. She watched him deteriorate in a nursing home, helpless to stop it. Her second relationship lasted 9 years. Different man. Same ending, just without the funeral. By the time Linda moved from the Northeast down to the Gulf Coast, she told herself it was for a fresh start. The kids were older now. She had space. She had time. For once in her life, she wanted to do something for herself. And so, one evening after a long shift, she did something she had never done before. She downloaded a dating app. If this story is already making you think about someone you know, a parent, a grandparent, a friend who's been lonely, do me a favor. Don't scroll away. Stay until the end. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Because the more people who hear stories like this, the fewer people fall victim to them. That's not a sales pitch. That's a fact. One subscription could save someone you love. Linda wasn't naive. She knew dating apps could be dangerous. She knew people lied online. She had watched the news. She had seen the warning segments on morning shows. She told herself she would be careful. But nothing prepares you for how normal it feels when it's happening to you. Within days of creating her profile, Linda was flooded with messages. Dozens of men, some clearly bots, some clearly inappropriate, filled her inbox with one-liners and empty compliments. But one message stood out. His name was Marcus. He was 61 years old, according to his profile. Tall, 6'1", built, short brown hair with a little gray at the temples, tattoos visible on his forearms in one of his photos. And that face, rugged, weathered, but kind, the kind of face that looked like it had stories to tell. He had responded to one of her pictures with a simple message. I love that song, too. It's been one of my favorites for years. Linda had mentioned her favorite artist in her bio. It was a small detail. Most people ignored it, but Marcus noticed. They started talking. At first, it was casual. Favorite music, favorite foods, weekend hobbies. Linda mentioned she liked going to the beach, spending quiet evenings at home, watching old movies. Marcus said he liked the same things. He had kids, too, grown like hers. He understood the exhaustion of raising children alone. He understood sacrifice. When I get back stateside, he wrote one night, all I want is a quiet life, a good woman, a front porch where I can drink my coffee and watch the sun come up. Linda read that message 3 times. She didn't respond right away. She didn't want to seem too eager. But something inside her shifted. Marcus explained that he was currently deployed overseas. Military. Special operations, he said, though he couldn't give her too many details. He was stationed in an active conflict zone. The work was dangerous. The days were long. Communication was difficult because of the poor internet connection on base. Linda had never dated anyone in the military before. She had never dated anyone who wasn't local. But there was something about Marcus that felt different. Something that made her want to take a chance. And so she did. The video call started about 2 weeks in. The first one caught her off guard. She was in her pajamas, no makeup, hair pulled back. Her phone buzzed, and suddenly his face was there, right there, staring at her through the screen. Hey, beautiful. Just wanted to see your face before I head out. Linda laughed nervously. She waved. She asked how he was doing. The video quality was poor, grainy. His voice sometimes cut out. But it was him, the same man from the photos. The same smile, the same eyes. She could see what looked like military equipment behind him. A cot, a footlocker, everything matched. After that, the video calls became more frequent. 6 times in total, she counted. Sometimes he called her out of the blue, just to say goodnight. Sometimes he sent pre-recorded video messages, 3 or 4 in a single evening, updating her on his day. It's about 2 a.m. here, he said in one of them. I just got off patrol. I'm exhausted, but I couldn't sleep without telling you I'm thinking about you. Linda watched those videos over and over. She saved them to her phone. She showed them to her mother. She even showed them to her daughter, who joined one of the video calls just to see for herself. Her daughter said he seemed real. Nice. A little quiet, maybe, but real. Linda started to believe that maybe, just maybe, life was finally giving her something good. The conversations deepened. Marcus started opening up about his past, his failed marriage, the custody battle over his daughter, the years he had spent deployed, missing birthdays and holidays and school plays, the guilt he carried. I just want to make things right, he told her one night. I want to come home and actually be there. For my daughter. For you. Linda told him about her own life, the loss of her first partner, the years of caregiving, the exhaustion, the loneliness she rarely admitted to anyone. Marcus listened. He always listened. When I get back, he said, I'm going to take care of you. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. It's time someone took care of you for a change. She cried when she read that message. Not because she was sad, because she wanted so badly for it to be true. About 6 weeks into the relationship, Marcus mentioned an opportunity. He had a financial advisor, a man named Derek, who helped him manage his investments while he was deployed. Marcus explained that over the years, he had built up a sizable portfolio. When he returned to the States, he would have more than enough to take care of himself, his daughter, and Linda. But in the meantime, he wanted to help her start building something for her future. Derek can get you started, Marcus said. It's an investment program tied to medical equipment contracts. Hospitals. Legitimate stuff. I've been doing for years. Linda hesitated. She had never invested in anything before. She didn't have extra money lying around. Every dollar she earned was already spoken for. But Marcus was persuasive. You don't have to do the full buy-in right now, he said. That's $30,000. But Derek said he could make an exception for you because you're with me. You can start with just $100 a week. And when I get home, I'll cover the rest. I'll pay the $30,000 myself. And after that, you'll be earning $40,000 a month in returns. $40,000 a month. Linda couldn't even imagine what that would look like. She asked a few questions. Marcus sent her a website for a well-known hospital, a real one, with a real donation page and real programs. The hospital was legitimate. She looked it up herself. It seemed real. Everything seemed real. Right now, there's someone out there, maybe in this very comment section, who's in the middle of a situation just like this. They haven't lost their money yet. They haven't realized the truth yet. They're watching this video with a pit in their stomach, wondering if the person they've been talking to is real. If that's you, I need you to keep watching. Don't close this video. And if this content is helping you see the truth, please hit that subscribe button. Share this video. You might be saving someone else who's too afraid to admit they need help. The first payment was easy. Derek reached out through an encrypted messaging app. He was polite, professional. He explained the process, sent her a digital wallet address, and told her exactly how to transfer the funds. $100. Linda sent it. The next week, she sent another 100, and another, and another. Some weeks were harder than others. Sometimes she had to choose between the investment and groceries. Sometimes she put off filling her gas tank. Sometimes she ate less so she could afford to send the money. But she told herself it was temporary. She told herself it would be worth it. Just a little longer, Marcus would say. When I'm home, you'll never have to worry about money again. Derek, meanwhile, grew more demanding. If Linda missed a payment, he would message her immediately. You can't miss these. This is a legitimate company. If you don't stay current, I could lose my job. Josh has been vouching for you. Linda apologized. She scraped together the money. She sent it. By the time she counted everything up, she had sent $1,300. It wasn't a fortune by most standards. But for Linda, it was everything. Marcus had promised to come home for the holidays. Linda had been counting down the days. She told her family. She cleaned her apartment. She bought a new dress, something she hadn't done in years. But 2 weeks before Christmas, Marcus called with bad news. His commander's wife had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She was deteriorating fast. If she passed, Marcus would have to stay overseas to take command of his unit. There was no one else who could do it. Linda tried to be understanding. She told him she would wait. On Christmas Eve, Marcus sent her a message. She passed this morning. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I have to stay. 100 of us have to stay behind. I'll be home as soon as I can. I promise. Linda sat alone in her living room that night. The dress hung in her closet, unworn. She cried until she couldn't cry anymore. Something shifted after Christmas. Linda couldn't explain it at first. It was just a feeling, a whisper in the back of her mind that something wasn't right. She started noticing small inconsistencies. In some of his videos, Marcus spoke with a clear American accent, but on the phone, his voice sounded different, thicker, harder to understand. He blamed the poor connection, the military equipment, the distance. Linda tried to believe him, but the doubt had taken root. She started searching online. She typed his name into search engines. She looked for his photos on social media. And then she found something. A woman, a stranger, had posted one of Marcus's photos on a forum, asking if anyone else had been contacted by this man. The comments were filled with replies. Yes, he told me he was stationed in Syria. He asked me for money for his daughter's surgery. He called himself Daniel when he talked to me. Linda's hands were shaking. She scrolled through the comments. Dozens of women, dozens of stories. All of them had talked to the same man, but they all called him different names. Linda didn't confront Marcus right away. Part of her still wanted to believe. Part of her needed the dream to survive just a little longer, but she reached out for help. She found an organization that specialized in investigating online relationships. They agreed to look into Marcus, Derek, and the investment scheme. What they found would change everything. I need to ask you something. If you've made it this far, it means you care. It means you understand that these stories aren't entertainment. They're warnings. But here's the thing. The algorithm doesn't promote videos that people don't engage with. If you want more people to hear these stories, if you want to protect your community, you have to take 30 seconds to subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me about someone you know who might be at risk. Tell me what you think about this story. That engagement is what pushes this video to the people who need it most. It costs you nothing, but it could cost someone else everything. The investigation began with the investment scheme. The hospital Marcus had mentioned was real. It had a legitimate website, a legitimate donation program, and a legitimate presence in the medical community. But the crypto wallet Derek had given Linda, it didn't match anything on the hospital's actual website. The investigators checked. The hospital offered cryptocurrency donations, but through a completely different wallet address. A verified address that could be traced, receipted, and recorded for tax purposes. The wallet Linda had been sending money to? It was a private account, unregistered, untraceable. And when they looked at the transaction history, they found something chilling. Linda had sent $1,300, but the total balance that had flowed through that wallet was over $50,000. She wasn't the only victim. There were dozens of others. Next, they traced the IP address from a tracking link embedded in a message Linda had agreed to send. 13 clicks registered overnight. One location stood out above all others. Lagos, Nigeria. Not Syria. Not California. Not a military base. Nigeria. Finally, they ran a reverse image search on Marcus's photos. The results came back immediately. His real name wasn't Marcus. It was Michael Torres. He was a businessman from a small city in the American South. He was married. He had recently had a child. He ran a legitimate company and lived a normal, quiet life. He had never served in the military. He had never been to Syria. He had never spoken to Linda. His photos, his face, his life, his identity, had been stolen and used by scammers more than 24 times. The news had even done a segment on him, warning other women about the fraud. Marcus wasn't real. He had never been real. When Linda saw the video of Michael Torres explaining that his identity had been stolen, she felt the floor drop out from under her. Every video call, every late-night message, every promise. None of it was real. The man she had fallen in love with, the soldier who was supposed to come home and take care of her, had never existed. He was just a face on a screen, a mask worn by someone who saw her not as a person, but as a target. Linda didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation in her mind, every video, every sweet word. She thought about the groceries she hadn't bought, the gas she hadn't put in her car, the Christmas she had spent alone, waiting for someone who was never coming. She thought about the $1,300, gone forever. She thought about her mother, who had spoken to Marcus on the phone and believed he was real. She thought about her daughter, who had joined a video call and seen his face. They had all been fooled. And Linda felt something she hadn't felt in years. Shame. Not because she was stupid. She wasn't stupid. She knew that now, but because she had wanted so badly to believe. Because she had ignored the small voice inside her that said something was wrong. Because she had chosen hope over logic, and hope had betrayed her. This is a part of the story where most people turn away. They think, that's terrible, but it won't happen to me. They close the tab. They forget what they've seen. But the truth is, someone you love might be in the middle of this right now. They might be afraid to tell you. They might feel too ashamed to ask for help. And if this video disappears from your feed because you didn't engage with it, you might never remember to check in with them. So please, subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. Do it for the person who might need this story more than you do. In the weeks that followed, Linda made a decision. She wasn't going to hide from what had happened to her. She told her family the truth. She filed a report with the appropriate authorities. She cut off all contact with Derek, Marcus, and anyone else connected to the scam. It wasn't easy. There were nights when she still reached for her phone, half expecting to see a new message from him. Muscle memory. Emotional muscle memory. But she forced herself to face reality. She had been targeted. She had been manipulated. She had been deceived by professionals. People who did this for a living, who studied human psychology, who knew exactly how to exploit loneliness and hope and trust. She wasn't weak. She was human, and she wasn't alone. The investigators told her about the other names that had appeared in the tracking data, the other women who had sent money to that same wallet, the other victims who were still out there, still believing, still waiting for a man who would never come home. Linda thought about them often. She hoped they would find the truth before it was too late. If Linda could go back and talk to herself, back before she ever opened that dating app, she would say this: if someone you've never met in person asks you for money, the answer is no. Always no. No exceptions. It sounds simple. It sounds obvious. But when you're in it, when you're drowning in loneliness and someone throws you a lifeline, you don't think about the rules. You just grab on. Linda would also say, video calls can be faked. Voices can be disguised. Photos can be stolen. Nothing you see on a screen is proof that someone is real. She would say, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let hope override your instincts. And she would say, talk to someone. Anyone. A friend. A family member. An organization that specializes in this. Don't carry the burden alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The scammers who targeted Linda are still out there. They've changed their names. They've stolen new faces. They've moved on to new victims. They are professionals. They run this like a business. They work in shifts. They target vulnerable people across the globe. They study their victims. They learn their fears, their hopes, their dreams. And then they weaponize those dreams against them. If you are currently talking to someone online who claims to be in the military and stationed overseas, has an excuse for why they can't video call, or why the video quality is always poor, has introduced you to a third party for investments, has asked you to send money through cryptocurrency, gift cards, or wire transfers, has promised to pay you back or support you financially when they get home, has a story that always seems to have a new crisis, a new emergency, a new reason why they can't meet you in person, please stop, take a breath, and investigate. Reverse image search their photos. Look for their names on scam warning websites. Talk to someone you trust, because the person you think you're falling in love with might not exist, and the money you send will never come back. Linda is doing better now. She hasn't given up on love. She hasn't given up on life. But she has learned to protect herself. And she hopes, more than anything, that her story will protect you. 2. Thank you for watching. If this story stayed with you, if it made you think about someone in your life who might be at risk, please share this video with them. Send it in a text. Post it on your timeline. You don't have to explain why. Sometimes, the best way to protect someone is to show them what they're not ready to see. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Because every week, we're uncovering new stories, new scams, and new ways that criminals are exploiting the people we love. And if you've ever been a victim, or if you're in the middle of something right now and you're not sure what to believe, leave a comment below. You are not alone. You are not stupid. And this community is here for you. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you in the next one.